LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to Premier League Forecast. Tonight we're joined by Luke, by Ewan, and by Kev. And tonight's show is brought to you by bookmakers.com. Check them out if you're looking for best website for odds comparisons and stats and what have you. They're really good site. And there was a really good show on their channel last night. So if you want to go and check that out, it is worth a look. Good evening, everyone. Luke, how are you? You well?
Not too bad. Glad it's the weekend.
Cool. Ewan, I haven't spoke to you in a while. How are you keeping, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I've got 2 weeks off being a teacher. I'm quite fortunate. So, yeah, can't complain. I'm not going to complain at the minute.
No. And Kev, how are you keeping, man? You keeping busy?
Oh, yep. Busy is my name at the moment. So,
Flat
yeah.
out at the minute. Good evening to everyone in the chat. Hope you're all doing good. We'll start off with there's massive games all over. We're going to touch on four of them. We'll start off with Brighton against Brentford. Luke, Brighton we've had enough experience playing Brighton this season. They're on the crest of a wave at the minute. Their cup semi-final manager looks like he's taken on what Potter was doing and just ran with it.
Yeah.
And finally figured out how Brighton can start scoring goals. They're in a really good spot to get a European place. European place is up for debate, but this is a huge game for this one, for Brighton, for the back third of the season. What are you expecting from this one, man?
I think with regards to this game, I think it's going to be a great game because Brentford are literally a place behind, same amount of points, but obviously Brighton have got the 2 games in hand on Brentford, and on Spurs they've got 3 games in hand over Spurs. So I think for Brighton this season, even like getting Europe for Brighton is going to be massive, regardless which European competition that they're going to play. And even if they get the Europa Conference League, I think for Brighton to be playing European football is going to be huge, considering where they were even 10 years ago. But with regards to this game, I think it's really interesting because what De Zerbi's done with Potter, he's just taken everything good that Potter's done and just added the knack of scoring goals. And I think with the emergence of Ferguson, I think everything that we criticised Brighton of a couple of seasons ago, all the good tippy-tappy play, just couldn't find the end product. I think you're seeing the end product added to all the good play. And I think for Brighton, there is no pressure for Brighton for the end of the season to get the Champions League, because the pressure should be on Tottenham, Liverpool, Newcastle to finish in the top 4. For Brighton, express yourselves. There is literally no pressure. If they don't get Europe, people aren't going to be like, you see, Brighton, they bottled the opportunities to get Europe. But if Tottenham, Newcastle, Liverpool don't get Europe, they're like, oh, wow, they've had a horrible season. So for Brighton, just play with no fear. Just play with no fear.
Ewan, Brentford are probably up there with one of the best run clubs in the league, for their ability in the transfer market, plus their manager. Is this game, I see this one tomorrow, or do you see this one tomorrow as an advertisement if you're Spurs? Because Spurs are in the market for a manager. Mm-hmm. Either of these two would be ideal for me for Spurs. But, Brentford, bear in mind what's coming down the line for Ivan Toney. They've had a phenomenal season so far. Do you expect them to carry that on? Will they have the ability to carry that on until the end of the season, do you think?
They're one of those teams that kind of, they'll pick up a few good results and then go under the radar. People almost forget about Brentford, not in a disrespectful way, because there's other teams that people are expecting more of, like your Leicesters, your West Ham. So when they pick up points, people don't necessarily take as much notice. I think what's most impressive about them is they're not afraid to lose people. So let's say someone comes in with a bid for Tony. They've got a value of how much they think he's worth. And they've got it for everybody. And then they've got a player ready to come in who'll fit the system. And to be honest, you could probably say the same about Brighton. They're probably the two best run clubs in the country without money. And I think if you're one of those clubs outside of the big six, and I guess you could probably throw Newcastle in as a big seven, that's how you want your club to be run. If we didn't get the takeover, I'd love to have been run like that, with that type of manager, like a forward-thinking, like open-minded manager who's going to try and entertain but also pick up points. Because by God, we had some awful managers over those years, and I think having Howe has really made me appreciate managers like Frank, De Zerbi, Potter. There's others around the league as well, but those two at the minute are really stand out. And if I was Tottenham, I'd probably be going for De Zerbi, because I feel like he's got that little bit more experience in European competitions in different leagues, and I think he'd probably be able to adapt a little bit more. But I rate them both massively.
Yeah, Kev, I think this has the potential to be the best game of the weekend. Both sides love the ball; they love playing football, and it's almost like a clash of styles, really. Brentford can be direct and traditional Scandinavian type of football, traditional Old English type of football, if they want to go that way. But they can play as well. You know, they've got some really good players. And Brighton, with Matoma, Ferguson, McAllister, they've got it all. They can mix it as well. So, how do you see this one playing out, man?
See, I don't think it'll be a good game. I think it's going to be one of those where, like, the big, strong defensive team goes up against the silky football playing team, and you have a rough one in midfield, and it ends as like a 1-0, 1-0. Like, I think it'll be a very interesting game to watch, because I think you've got two teams who you would say are outperforming their place in the league probably more than anyone. I think Brighton obviously have done an amazing job. Their transfer policy obviously has worked out very well for them, with, like you said, McAllister, Matoma, Saicedo. You've got Ferguson. There's names coming out of everywhere, really. And considering they sold people like Ben White, Cucurella, like they've done a fantastic job. And it's the same with Brentford. Obviously, Thomas Frank's doing really well. But in terms of the quality of the game, I think it could actually end up being quite a scrappy one, just because, like you said, they almost cancel each other out in terms of kind of headbutting each other. But yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I just think it might not be like necessarily the entertaining, high-scoring game. I think if you're a proper, if you really enjoy football, you almost like to see the tactical battle of two people cancel each other out and who's going to make what change to win the game.
You're looking for the individual brilliance.
Yeah.
Really.
So I think it'll be that kind of game, not necessarily like a fast-paced, up-and-down dominant game. And they both know they're right next to each other. They're both fighting for the same spots. And there's so much on the line that I think it could just end up being a bit of a slower game. But, we'll see.
This season is just crazy. Outside of the top two sides, it's from top to bottom. The only thing that's consistent about sides is their inconsistency. Nobody is like running away with anything, and it's really this table is so condensed that any side from, say, where Brighton is now, Brighton down, you put 3 wins together, and by the second week of April, the table looks completely different again. And you're managing expectations, I think, with Brighton. The fact that they've got that cup semi-final while doing this in the league is a phenomenal effort for what De Zerbi has done. But Kev, I'll just ask you quickly: if you're Spurs, would you go for either of these two, or would you be looking abroad or looking at a different option?
I wouldn't, but not because I don't think they're good enough. I just think we've seen at Chelsea that I just think it's just such a different step up. Well, now, obviously, listen, Chelsea aren't the same as Tottenham, and maybe Tottenham could be more likely to work for that kind of club. I just think Tottenham need someone who knows how to rebuild a club, because I think there's only so long before, as we're seeing with Son this year, his forms fell off a cliff. You've got Harry Kane, who knows what he's doing. He might stay. He might
That's
go.
what he's doing. He's heading to you next year.
Hopefully he is. Yeah. But I just think Tottenham aren't in a place where they should be trying to I think they need someone who's going to build that club back up from the ground up. And I'll be honest, I don't have suggestions for it. I don't know who that might be. I just don't think it's right to probably put the pressure on two guys like that who have massively overperformed at clubs with zero expectation. But it's a very different story when you've got superstars in dressing rooms, you've got expectations from fans and other teams' fans. I just think it's a different story.
Luke, if you're Spurs, we'll just quickly touch on it because it is a huge story. I mean, that dressing room has now got Mourinho to sack, Pochettino to sack, it's got Conte to sack, and Nuno should never have been there. Yeah. So that's 4 managers that dressing room has sacked in the last since they've reached the Champions League final.
Yeah.
If you're Julian Nagelsmann, how far up do you run from Spurs? Because I think
can I see my name in the press? I'm like, we're not on from the phone to no one linked to Spurs. I think.
And the other side of it is you got Patrici, the director of football that's in there, is now on a global, worldwide football ban.
Spurs is a mess. Like it's a mess. I think with regards to Frank and De Zerbi, they're great managers, but why would you want to risk it going to Spurs? What does going to Spurs benefit your career? Because Spurs are like, their expectation from Spurs fans is that they should be winning something, but they haven't got a history of winning anything. So when they go there with the shiny stadium and the players that have constantly let each manager down, and knowing that they're probably not going to get the backing of Daniel Levy, it's a recipe for disaster. So why would you want to risk your managerial career going to Spurs when there's no benefit of going to Spurs, really?
I don't know if I agree with some of that though, right? Because hasn't Daniel Levy spent like over 200 million in the last 12 to 18 months?
And I think
170 odd.
Exactly right. Yeah. And also, I think that you can say a club has no history in terms of, not no history, but has a lack of trophy winning history. But just like with any other club, if you have aspirations of reaching that point, you have to make steps to get there, like getting the shiny new stadium and having higher expectations.
The shiny new stadium. I think the thing with getting Conte is that team would be ready to just win. It only needs a couple of players to sprinkle that stardust, and then you're ready to win. But when Conte came in, I don't think anyone thought that Spurs team was ready to win now, because Spurs needed a few more players. I didn't see that side as a side that was going to win straight away the second he walked in, because I thought they needed big work done to that side before you could.
They have capability of winning like a cup, like a league cup. Though I would say, if you look at where we got to a final and we played, I think, 4 Premier League teams and 1 League 1, League 2 team. Spurs should be able to string some results together to get that. Harry Kane should be able to do that on his own. Yeah. The problem is they seem to have this fragility about them that allows them to fall apart when the big moments come. I know they've had big moments in the past, but that was under Pochettino, and he was almost overachieving anyway. Getting to a Champions League final was beyond Spurs, in my opinion. They were a good side, but I never would have put them down as Champions League
Spurs have gone out to elite sides in the cup. They've gone out to B sides of Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United, Middlesbrough last season. So it's not like they're losing to City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United.
There's a word for it. There is literally a word for it in the dictionary. It's Spursy. It's a mentality. It's a mentality problem that Spurs have. Spurs have a mentality issue when it comes to big games, and to me, that dressing room is too powerful. There's too many cliques and egos in that dressing room, and as soon as they take a dislike to a manager, that's it. They're gone. And the thing is with Conte's instant success. He's always been that way. Everywhere he manages, he has a style of play and a style of management that is short term. It's very now. Players only buy into his methods for a certain length of time before
it's childish.
There's anarchy every time, and he wreaks havoc where he goes because of the type of players that he buys are generally your ready-made players for instant success. That doesn't lead well for Spurs to rebuild. But look, I'll just get back to this game quickly. Score predictions, Luke. Brighton, Brentford.
2-1 Brighton.
Snap. I've gotten the same. Ewan?
3-1 Brighton.
Kev?
1-0 Brighton.
Cool. Look, we'll move on to the next one because the next one, Chelsea Villa. I could have gone with Arsenal least, but I just thought no. I think Chelsea Villa. You never picked this one, 10th versus 11th, but Ewan, Chelsea looked like I'm seeing green shoots from them in their performances. Maybe not in the results, but some of their build-up play, some of their play going forward. I've been impressed with how they're playing without getting results. Do you think Graham Potter is starting to turn a corner? Bear in mind, I think he's driving a Titanic, so turning the corner is going to take a bit of time. But are you starting to see things, or is it just, too many players brought in at once and he's just trying to piece things together and it's never going to work?
I'm really torn. I think they've got some lovely footballers, like really lovely, talented, technical footballers. But they lack that grit to see a game out. You look at all the teams across the top; they've got players that will drag them across the line in terms of leadership and things like that. And I know they've got Thiago Silva, but outside of him, no one in that team makes me think that they would run through brick walls. Really,
he's out injured now as well, I think. So
I feel like they're a very naive side. They play well for 30 minutes, and then a team will get back into it for 10 minutes and nick a goal, and they go, "Oh, we've got to start." And it's almost like they haven't gelled yet, have they? They've not had time to build and become a unit. But you've got to give Potter credit and time because he's managed it wherever he's gone. And we're talking about Brighton, and we're speaking about how brilliant they are. And yes, De Zerbi has seemingly improved them, but he was the catalyst for where they are now. The reason they've got that foundation is because of him. So if I was Chelsea's owners, I wouldn't be looking to move him on anytime soon. I would just kind of write the season off, try and win the Champions League, although I don't think they will, and just think, right, whatever we do in summer, we have to sell some players to make sure these books are balanced and try and bring in players that fit whatever Potter wants, because I'm still not sure some of those players are his buys. I'm really not. I'm not convinced.
No, Kev, I think that Graham Potter is he's the head coach, and he's given the players to work with, and it's like here, it's like going into a car, going into a garage and say, "Fix my car." What's wrong with it? I don't know. Just fix it. It almost feels like that at the minute, but they have brought in some real good players. They paid big money for Enzo Fernandez. João Felix on loan. I think that deal could become permanent. He looks. I didn't think. I'll just ask you specifically about him because I didn't see it in him that he would be able to do it in the Premier League. Did you? Did you think? I mean, we know he's a good player, but did you think he could do what he's doing at the minute?
I mean, it's easy to say it, but when the loan rumours were around for us, I was all over it. I wanted him in. Just because I felt like the way Ten Hag wanted to play, if he was that centre forward, false nine, linking all that together with Rashford off the left and Anthony on the right, I was buzzing for it. So I always knew he would be really good. It was more that I thought that Chelsea were just so bad. I thought it might just reflect badly on him. And I think at the start he had flashes, but I think he's obviously got a lot better as it's gone on. I think with Chelsea, I find it really hard to give him any credit because when you spend 700 million on some of the best players in the world, and then you're managing to put some decent performances together. Like, am I meant to clap for Graham Potter for figuring that out? Like, you've got Enzo Fernandez, Wesley Fofana, João Felix. You've got like all these incredible players. You've even brought in like Madueke, Mudryk that are sitting on the bench. You've got Badiashile who ain't even making your Champions League team. And like I'm meant to be like blown away that you're 10th and drawing 3-3 with teams. Like fair enough. Like, yeah, they've looked better than initially, but I think he's massively underperformed Graham Potter, and I think De Zerbi, if anything, has shown that really Graham Potter might not have been as good as everyone thought he was, and it was more the infrastructure and everything that was built around it that made them what they were. Because I actually think De Zerbi's done a better, like so far. I think he's been better than Graham Potter. Oh, yeah. I think they're actually. I think people chuck this label on that De Zerbi's kind of gone in there, done exactly the same and tweaked something. I don't. If you actually watch the football they're playing better and different football. It's structured, and like with Potter, it'd be like one day he'd be playing 3-1-4-2 or something, and then next time it was 4-2-3. Like it was chaos. Whereas De Zerbi, they've got a structured way of playing, a way to build up, and a way to score goals. And Brighton never done it. I just don't. I think Graham Potter's good. I just don't think he's like this like messiah that everyone's kind of had him rated as.
I think it's easy to say though because De Zerbi has come in and no one was expecting him to do what he was doing. And yes, I do agree that it has improved. There's no denying that. But if you watch the way Brighton play, they're very, very specific in the way they penetrate teams. So they build up around the back and they almost force other teams to press when they wouldn't usually. Yeah. So they almost bore the hell out of teams. And then they'll play this one cutting pass because Adam Webster's a decent footballer. And as much as I don't rate Lewis Dunk, he can knock a decent pass. So they almost wait for that trigger. I know Leeds, my friend was telling me he was watching the Leeds game and I turned it on. Leeds fans at Elland Road, they're very intense. And when they weren't pressing, they were getting really, really frustrated. So the players started going, all right, well, we'll press. And Brighton just started cutting through them. And I think over a longer period of time, I think teams will start to wise up a little bit and maybe have a trigger and start to think, right, he's the press. He's the player who's weaker on the ball. We need to get the ball to him and almost shuffle our press across. And maybe let's say it's the right centre half. We then cut off out of the left hand side. And I think I agree with what you're saying, but I also think it's quite unfair to judge over this period of time because Potter hasn't really improved Chelsea. De Zerbi has, but who knows? In 12 months, Potter might have won the Champions League this season. It's going to depend. It's so difficult to judge at the minute, I think.
Is it hard to give Graham Potter the credit of improving Chelsea though when they've chucked?
No,
probably by the end of next summer next summer they'll probably spend close to £1 billion, right? So we look at it and going like, right, the players. I'm pretty sure I could chuck some old bird down the road as manager and they get some results because you got just the players like you got fucking like I said Fofana and like. Enzo Fernandez was young player of the World Cup, weren't he? I'm pretty sure. You're buying players who are world beaters.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't even get sick is pathetic. Like,
do you not think though also that if we all made our best Chelsea team, I don't think we'd all pick the same team. I think there's so many positions up for grabs, and I think that's probably
5 international players.
A good point against Potter, but I also think it's probably a negative for him as well because he's got to try and get a balance somewhere. And I couldn't tell you what their best team is.
I think there's a couple that would change, but I think if we all went in separate calls right now, did our team, I bet you 8 of the 11's the same. And there might be 2 or 3.
I don't think so. I think you're probably talking 5. Well, 5 or 6.
Here's the thing with Chelsea, right? I don't know what their best setup is. Never mind their best team. I don't know if it's 4-3-3. 3 at the back. If it's,
I think 3 at the back.
1 up top, 2 up top, with 1 off. I don't know.
It's a 3 with.
It's been bought for a 3. Striker. Yeah, it's been bought for a 3 because they've played that way for a long time before Potter arrived. I don't think next summer next season they'll be playing with a back 3.
I think so.
But Luke,
I think you kill Reece James and Chilwell if you don't.
Oh, good God, yeah. I mean, the thing is,
I agree with that.
The other thing I'll just ask Luke. Chelsea have to find £160 million.
They're gonna have to gut that squad.
Do they though? Do they?
I'm not gutting because they've got 35 international players, and they've got to let go at least 8 players next season. Like Pulisic, Ziyech. I think one of the keepers will go because I think Mendy hasn't signed a new deal. Don't forget, you've got Nkunku coming in. You've got the right back from Lyon that's coming in. You've got Kante going on the free. Rumours of Mason Mount going. So, players have got to leave as well. And I think players that haven't seen a lot of game time, I think will be shifted on. You've even got rumours that Levi Colwill at Brighton's going to get moved on in the summer as well. So, they've got a lot of fat to trim.
Laszlo makes a point there. You got Lukaku coming back as well. He's only left on loan.
Yeah,
they're just so boring, aren't they, Chelsea? I can't stand.
That's why I don't fear next season. People are going to go, "Oh yeah, we're going to have to fear Chelsea." I don't fear Chelsea because they're in such a mess. They've got to get their ducks in a row, and that doesn't happen with snapping your finger. You spend £1 billion and go, "Yeah, we're good to go." Well, that's why I don't see them doing much next season because they've got still a lot to do. And do not be surprised. I'm putting money on it. No, I don't bet. Potter will be out the job. Julian Nagelsmann in halfway during next season. I can just see it.
I don't think Nagelsmann will be on the market. I think Nagelsmann will be going to Madrid personally. But Luke, the opposite end of the scale, Aston Villa. Very rich owners, very wealthy owners, and very ambitious owners. Unai Emery, Arsenal jokes aside, is a very, very good manager.
He's done well since he's gone in. Like
he has, hasn't he? The thing is, he's got a core. He's got a core of players to work with, and there is no 25 players in the squad that he can chop and change and what have you. He's probably got about 14 players that he likes to work with, and that's the 11 he's putting out. And there's some players there, there's some real talent there. The likes of Jacob Ramsey, to me, I think he's going to be a player in the future. He's got this. I mean, it's 10th versus 11th, so they haven't had a spectacular season. But from where they were to where they are now, and where Randy Lerner wants to take them,
Randy Lerner,
they're not Randy Lerner's.
Randy Lerner, he left ages ago.
No, the other guy, the guy who took him over was from Denver, I think. Yeah. But it's people underestimate how big a club Villa are. Birmingham is the second biggest city in the UK. They're the biggest club in the city, and it wouldn't much them force.
Oh, Kev,
tomorrow, I think it's a late kickoff tomorrow evening, isn't it?
Oh, we might be back.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's a late kickoff, so all eyes will be on it, I'd imagine. It's either that or people are going to be flicking over to watch Dortmund against
the Classica, yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting game because I think for Villa, there's no danger of them going down, and I don't think they're going to be getting Europe. So this is a great opportunity for Unai Emery to see who he wants to keep around next year and who's going to be sort of leaving. I think Philip Coutinho may be showing the door in the summer sort of thing. So I think it's a great opportunity to see who he wants to stick around because he will get backed in the summer. He got backed in January, and I can see that he'll probably get more money to spend on the squad in the summer. So I think it's just a perfect opportunity for him to see where Villa are at the moment in his eyes because with their owner, with their backing, they should be trying to get Europe next season, like the Conference League. They should be aiming for that, or to try and aim for a cup or something like that. Because Villa are under Emery, no danger of going down even next season. So they should be trying to get Europe or win some type of silverware.
Well, Matt makes a point there in the chat that Villa are the only team in the table, really. And he's not far off, actually, with nothing to play for. The safest houses, they're probably not going to get into Europe.
Fulham are the same as well, probably.
Yeah, exactly. There's not many, but they're almost a case of, well, anything that Fulham get this season is going to be a bonus, being the promoted side. Mm-hmm. But Villa are the established side in the Premier League, and mid-March, the safest houses, fine, Europe is off the table, but, Ewan, you look at the two clubs, obviously the owners are miles apart, given the fact they both have money. They're miles apart. But I honestly look at size-wise and potential-wise in both clubs. I don't think there's that much difference between the two when you look at what they're capable of doing. Chelsea, I think they still have a problem going forward that Abramovich funded that club for a long time and wrote off a lot of money to them for them to be able to compete. They can't just expand Stamford Bridge. So do you see Villa, Chelsea, those type of clubs are competing with each other now to push on, with Spurs as well, Liverpool, Newcastle, to be able to push on and compete to get into top fours going forward?
The thing that benefits Chelsea that doesn't and probably won't benefit Villa is the commercial side of it. You're talking the posh end of London. When you go there, the boxes are an absolute fortune. So they're raking in matchday revenue that no other club in the country, bar the big two, you would say, Liverpool and Man United, can rake in. I know Arsenal have got high season ticket prices, but Chelsea are almost like the glamorous. It's more the fact, though, that Spurs aren't that glamour club. They're just not, like we spoke about before. Chelsea have kind of got this aura about them because of Abramovich. It is purely because of him. I just think they will be above and beyond most teams for a long while yet. Although I don't see it being sustained, and I don't think they can keep doing what they're doing. And I think Todd Boehly understands financial fair play, but doesn't understand football. And I think there's got to be a balance there. He understands the fact that transfer fees have to be paid over contracts. He gets all of that. But at the same time, you then need to make sure your wage ratio to turnover is within a certain amount. And at the minute,
70%, I think.
It will be eventually. It's allowed.
In 2 years, in 2 years' time, it'll be for European competitions. It'll be 70%.
Yeah,
like for
but
Arsenal,
at the minute,
they've got to spend less because they're, I think, 82 at the moment. But
yeah. Well, I know Newcastle are 95% at the minute, but we've got players leaving, and our commercial income will increase. I can't see Chelsea increasing what they've got now. They've already got massive money coming in. Sponsors. They've got so much to pay for. And the only way they're going to do that is by understanding football. And I don't think Todd Boehly understands football well enough to be able to sustain this for a long period. And talking about Villa, I think Villa are a club that can progress and probably will to a degree, but I don't see them breaking into the top 7, as in the European places. I can see them being a club that maybe does well in cups, domestic cups. And I think that's pretty good. If I was a Villa fan, I think I'd be quite happy with that. But again, they're another team that pays big wages, but they haven't got the commercial income to match that. So I think they gave Kamara 160 grand a week with bonuses every time he plays.
They didn't have a fee, did they? I think that's why.
Which is fair. You know, if you want to attract players, you've got to pay the money. But at the same time, can Villa sustain that? If another player comes in, he's going to go, well, he's on that. I want that.
Yeah, it's an interesting fact there. It's an interesting fact there for Marine Boy. Emery has lost 1 away game since he's come in. Kev, how do you see this one going? Because I honestly haven't a clue. I don't know what to expect.
Probably ends in a draw. But what I do want to say about Emery is the fact that he didn't get backed in January. I think he had 1 paid signing. I think it was Alex Moreno for about 15 million. He's nowhere near done with that team. He'll be getting a lot of that deadwood out. He'll bring players in. I think also they've been unlucky. Yeah, they've been unlucky with Diego Carlos being out for most of the year. Unlucky with Kamara picking up some injuries as well. I had made a bet with a friend of mine, Jamie. It was about 4 or 5 months ago. We bet 30 quid that Villa would get top 10. And as they're slowly crawling and getting up, he's getting a bit more. And I have faith in them. I think they'll get there because I think Emery is, outside of probably those big clubs, I think he's the best manager out of the rest. And
I agree.
I think they'll be fine. I do think you've already heard my opinion on Chelsea, but yeah, I think Villa are good. I think Chelsea. I think Potter's got to be at a point now where he's just experimenting for stuff outside of the Champions League because he knows he can't get anything else. Yeah. And like you said, Villa have got nothing to play for, so it probably reeks of a 1-0. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea went there and won 4-0, or if Villa went there and won 3-0. It's such a nothing it's a big game in terms of the teams. And I think it could be a really entertaining game because none of them have much to play for. But that also means I have no idea how it's going to go.
Exactly. Matt is saying there, Villa need to consolidate their position in the top flight, put some money into renovating their facilities and upgrading their youth team, and then they can have success on the pitches and get it off. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, tomorrow, Luke, you got Havertz, James, Mount, and Kante available in the Chelsea squad. First time they'll have been able to use Kante in a long time. Whether he plays,
Kante back.
Oh yeah, Kante be back for Liverpool. Yeah, no, 100%.
He's out of the cryo chamber just in time.
Just in time.
And after the game, they'll go, "Hey, you don't need to play for the rest of the season. Hop back in the chamber. We'll let you know when Liverpool's round the corner to get you out."
Villa are missing Kamara and Matty Cash is out as well. So, give us a score prediction for tomorrow, mate.
I'm going to go, after all that Chelsea slander, I'm probably going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
Yeah. Ewan?
I'm doing the same. 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea. 2-2 for me. Big Desmond. Because I just think Chelsea leak a bit. They're capable of scoring the odd goals, but I think Kev was actually dead right in what he was saying. I think once they concede or they go behind, I think they're fragile, and that could be a problem. It could be a good game, though. It could be just one of those good games. But talking about good games, Manchester United, Newcastle. This one, look, the boys are here. You and Newcastle, Kev, Manchester United. If Kev, I'll cut to you. Manchester United win this, that's pretty much third as a lock, isn't it? You know, it has to be from there.
I don't know if third is. I think top four would be though. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going into this one. You know Casemiro, but how do you think United set up for this one? How do you think they play it?
Well,
it's a tough place to go. It genuinely is. It is a tough place to go.
I'm almost definite McTominay will start. He had a really good international break. I think he scored 3 or 4 in his 2 games. I can't remember how many it was, but he'll definitely start. It'll be probably then. I think Sabitzer had a really good spell as well. I think quite a few of our midfielders did. I know Sabitzer and Bruno did. It'll just be, I think for me, McTominay will start, Bruno will start. It'll be between then Sabitzer or Fred. I don't know what way that one will go. About the game,
Sabitzer had a bit of a knock. He came back early, but he should be okay.
Yeah, I heard he's going to be fine. But he did have, I think he's got an absolute perler of a free kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, with Newcastle, it's a weird one. Obviously, Newcastle are better this year, but Newcastle have always kind of been one of those teams for us, at least like generally historically, that we've performed quite well against. And like I'm not like a firm believer in that, like just because you beat them all the time 10 to 20 years ago, that means that you will now.
Yeah.
But just like with the final, I was fairly confident we'd win. I'm not terrified about it, but we'll see. For me, I think I'm relatively relaxed about it.
Well, Ewan, I honestly think Manchester United go there tomorrow and say to Newcastle, here's the ball. You come and do something with it. And that's probably Manchester United's best way of going into tomorrow, given the fact that Casemiro isn't there. And is that probably the one thing that Newcastle wouldn't want? Is that if they're given the ball and told to make the game, force the game, try to get the result, rather than sitting back and making it a tennis ball game?
It's difficult because I think in the final they did that anyway with Casemiro.
They did, yeah.
It was literally, and I'm not being patronising or dismissive, but it was Bruno, get the ball, get out of your feet and look for Rashford, because Trippier is not quick. Get him turned and get him running back towards his own goal. A bit like what Darwin Núñez did at St. James's a few weeks ago. It's the exact same thing. And I love how, you know I do. He needs to drop that line probably another 15 yards and try and not, like you say, not just say, like try and have the ball all the time, because we did that at Wembley and they punished us for it. We never really created very much. I think we created maybe 2 chances all game. We had a lot of the ball. But one thing I will say is St. James's makes a difference. When St. James's is rocking and when there's something to play for, the fans get up for it. And I know missing Casemiro will be a big loss, but I'm not sure it'll necessarily change the outlook of the game. I don't think much changes in that respect. Man United will come expecting to win, but I think we'll be expecting to give as good as we get and try and nick a result. The only thing I would say that's different this time is Callum Wilson's been off colour for about 4 months. Isaac's come in finally, which I've been calling for months, and he actually looks to get involved in the play and he drags players out of position. He runs into the channels. Wilson can't dribble. He can hold it because he's quite physically imposing. He's quite stocky. He's quite broad. But Isaac gets the ball to feet and he stands some up and he drops his shoulder and he's a weird shape. He's a weird frame. So I'm hoping he will be able to try and pull Martinez out of position a little bit, allow for a bit more space, because at the minute, I genuinely don't know what our team will be. Joelinton's been missing because of a
talk
ban.
is that he could be available. That would be a big plus if he's available.
But even then, we won 2 games on the bounce without him. So it's like, do the others deserve to lose their spot? And Howe's big on that. I don't agree with it, but Howe's big on that. So I'd personally be bringing Joelinton in. I'd be looking to play Murphy again, which sounds crazy because if you'd asked me that a few months ago, I'd have said no. But the thing with Murphy is he's direct and he's right-footed on a right-hand side. We don't have any right-footers on that right-hand side. And you saw when balls are clipped into the box, Isaac's a threat. He's a big threat. Whereas Almiron, when he's been fit, I know he's out, he always wants an extra touch. He always wants to come back. And it slows us down. And as a striker, you want that initial movement to be recognised. If you move and then you have to go back and make your movement again, the defenders get time to set themselves. So I'm hoping Isaac's going to be the key to unlock a result for us. I really do.
Luke, this is huge for both clubs, but I think Newcastle at the minute sat in 5th, 3 points behind Manchester United. I think if memory serves me right, they both played the same amount of games as well.
Just
Yeah,
having a
they're
look.
both on 26. So Newcastle win. They can go level on points with Manchester United. And with what's going on at Spurs, they really could finish in could finish in the top 4 and kick on from there. It's, I mean, with 11 games to go, if you're going to Newcastle and you're Manchester United, what is it? Do you go with the attitude of, look, whatever happens, get a point, get something. This is a don't lose. If you win,
Yeah.
great, but don't lose.
Yeah, I do think it's definitely a do not lose game for United. Well, it's so interesting with Newcastle because Newcastle, beginning of the season, really, really, really doing well. And after the World Cup, it seems like that they just ran out of steam and ran out of ideas. And I think they've drawn like 11 games this season, which is absolutely crazy. The fact that they've lost 3 and drawn 11. Newcastle need to get the shooting boots again if they want to finish top 4. But I think with top 4, I think to get it, you're just going to have to be the best out of an awful bunch. And I think that's the way Liverpool are playing, Spurs are playing, Newcastle are sort of stop, start at the moment. So if you want to get top 4, you just have to put some sort of a run together. Oh, sorry, cat's trying to claw the back of my chair. So I don't think she's agreeing with what I'm saying.
Oh God, not another cat incident. We do not want another
No,
cat story
no,
in this
no,
show.
no. Nothing like what we saw. No, I'm more worried about the dog rather than the cat.
Oh, and it was a dog that
I'm
caused the
more like-
last cat incident, so we don't really want to go down that road again.
No, but I think with United, with no Casemiro, I think, yes, it would be a worry. But yet again, Scott McTominay is banging form after the international break. So he'll fit in next to Fred and, reunite that legendary partnership of the McFred.
Do you not think with McTominay, though, he's actually better as an 8? Because he'll be taking Casemiro's role
100%
as a
he's better
6.
than an 8, yeah.
So why
100%.
is he not being played as an 8? Because he's a good ball striker. He's physical. He's imposing. His runs are quite good late into the box. He used to play as a striker as a kid. He grew up into the youth system. Why are they still playing him as a 6?
Kev?
Because he's our only backup. We don't have anyone else. And also, like, people forget, like, before Casemiro came into the team, like, when he was still working his way in, Casemiro, like, McTominay, sorry, did very well for us. Like, he was very good, like, especially in that Arsenal game, he was wicked. Like, for me, listen, McTominay, he probably isn't a natural 6, but I don't know what the hell he is actually naturally. I'd kind of look at him, and if someone said to me he could be a right back or a left winger, I'd probably go, do you know what? I probably ain't going to argue. Like, he can kind of do, he's pretty average at everything. But listen, I don't mind it. I think it's going to be a thing of just bodies getting back. I think it'll be Varane and Martinez will be the 2 that really kind of stand out anyway. For me, yeah, I mean, McTominay will be interesting, but I think
go on, gives what your score prediction would be, and what you think and what you hope, or what you think and what you aspire for.
I think it'll be 2-0 again, personally. To Man U, obviously.
Do you think that it'll be that kind of game, though, that counter-attacking play?
Without doubt. If you look at our team, it's the way it suits us to play that way. You have Rashford, Anthony on each wing, Bruno's delivery, work rate. Like, having the legs of Bruno, Fred in that middle, even McTominay to the extent, and then you bring on Sabitzer. They've got legs for days, and I'm not worried. Like, it's the best way to play Newcastle. They're one of the. They don't have a lot of bite when it comes to scoring goals. Like, Almiron, obviously, listen, he's had a freak year compared to what he was kind of doing. I think even Wilson, I saw, he's only had what, 7 goals? Was it something somewhere around there in them?
Yeah, it's not too far
in the Prem. It's like, I thought he was having a better year than that. It was only when I saw him and Antonio like having a laugh on some TikTok clip, and I was like, he only had 7. So it's just like, I just don't think they score enough. And for me, I think if we can ride that early wave of when the fans are really up for it, and if we can ride that early wave and keep them kind of quiet those fans down. I fancy Rashford to have a go. I fancy Anthony to have Dan Burn. I fancy us, but also we're a bit up and down at the moment as well. So I really don't even know what to expect from this team, to be honest. Like it's kind of I'm a bit confused with us.
And Ewan, what would you be? You're going, yeah? You'd be going to the game?
Yeah.
So what do you think will happen? You know, what scores wise?
I think both teams will score. I can't see us not scoring, but I can't see them not scoring. Although our defense is good, I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. I think one thing I will say, right, and this is something that's kind of been bothering me. Rashford is a player that has frustrated me for years because he's got unbelievable talent. He's like top level talent, but it's like this whole head thing. It is literally all in his head.
That celebration thing is annoying me so much. I hate it.
Well, I just
he does it a lot.
I know it's not even his. That's the thing. It's not even his celebration.
Well, it is his if everyone knows it to be his. It'd be someone else's before, but it's who makes it famous.
Ruben Neves's. That was Ruben Neves in the Championship.
No one likes Ruben Neves.
The thing about Rashford, though, was if you looked at, and I know people aren't a fan of it, but XG is a big indication of how many chances you're getting and the quality of chances you're getting and how many you take. And Rashford, from about January to the start of March, was doubling his XG. So let's say he was expected to score 10 goals. He scored 20. That's obviously a very plucked out the air number. But that can't continue unless he starts to get more quality chances. So if you look at a lot of his goals, they were like unbelievable. And the one in Europe where he's missed an easy 8-yard one that's come over his shoulder and it's dropped and he's hit it over the bar. I think it had divot, to be fair. Yeah. But then about 3 minutes later, he's hit one and you've gone, how have you scored that one? And it was unbelievable. So I think Rashford is very, I say up and down. I think he got something like 6 in 6, and then in the last 5 or 6, he's had 2, something like that. So it depends on what type of Rashford turns up. If he turns up with his shooting boots on, it could be 2 or 3. If we do a job on him and we can kind of try and drop that 15 yards and not allow that space in behind, I could see maybe us getting like a 2-1, a 1-1. I think it depends on him. I really do.
I think he's been the man for the big game. Like I think I saw a stat where it's like in the Premier League, he's won the most games by his goals. I think he's won us. I think it was 9 or 10 games by himself with his goals. And I think we've only had 15 years or like 15 wins this season, and I think he's won us 9 or 10 with his goals. So I think he's been the man for the big game and the big occasion this year. And I think Newcastle aways can only be classified as that. So
I think as well, I'm quite pleased about Garnacho being out. Because he's someone who comes on and he frightens me. I think he's brilliant. I think he's a miss. And he's obviously come on and created a lot of opportunities later on in games and got assists and caused fullbacks nightmares. So I'm quite pleased that he's not available. Because I think he's an
unbelievable talent, isn't he?
Yeah,
he
is
unbelievable talent.
Scary.
But you're going for a 2-1 win. Kev, you're going 2-0. Luke, what are you going?
3-1 United.
Which one? Oh, fuck off. Which one?
Manchester United.
Yeah, buddy.
I don't think.
Through gritted teeth because I never like predicting United to win.
I don't think Manchester United will get 3 against that Newcastle side. They are as stubborn as days long. Botman is back, and he's been a phenomenal signing this season. I think they're hard to score against, but at the same time, I think Manchester United probably. I think both sides come away with a draw. I think 1-1. And
that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think both sides will be happy with it. But if I was going to hand on heart for a winner, I'd fancy Manchester United. I just think they've got too many. They've got more ways to hurt a side than Newcastle at the moment. And Isaac is a hell of a. I wanted Isaac 2 years ago. I think he's a hell of a player. But I think Alan Saint-Maximin is just turning him every game I watch him, he's turning more and more into Adama Traore. And it's just
I see he's a Gucci Adama.
There's so much to like about his game. It's just his end product is shocking
as anything, yeah.
It is shocking.
Can I point out as well, by the way, you know the discussion that Newcastle are good defensively, and I'm not saying they're not, but I don't think they've kept a clean sheet in about 10 games.
Yeah, but they don't concede.
We're still the joint highest clean sheets in the league, though.
Yeah.
So
because of how incredible you were
Nick
early,
Pope
and it's
is
and also
phenomenal.
that's
It's
including
still
all
the same defence, though, isn't it?
No. I agree. What I'm saying is though, like form matters, right? And
Yeah.
and this is in all comps as well. This isn't just Prem. So like what I'm saying is, it's like 9 or 10 games I think it is that they haven't kept a clean sheet. I'm just saying form matters, and I'm not saying
I agree with what you're saying. However, if you look at the goals we've conceded, there've been mistakes. So it's not like bad defending. It's been Botman playing a bad back pass to Pope. It was Trippier slipping in front of his own goal against Wolves. Things like that you can't really account for. I think we're still the same defence. We haven't shipped 3 or 4, is what I'm saying.
I hear
it's
it.
been one here and there, one and
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but it's not like we've capitulated. It's not like we've fallen to bits. And I think
I was just more saying that it's not at the start of the season. I was terrified to play Newcastle because I thought we're not going to score. Like they will not concede a goal.
Well, the first game of the season was a 0-0, wasn't it? And
between us, yeah.
The Newcastle Manchester United game, and it was. But I think both sides have moved on a bit since then. How has just evolved that side. I think the problem Newcastle have had is the chopping and changing in midfield in recent weeks. When you had a steady 11 that he was putting out week in, week out, it was a lot easier to build that side. But when he's had to chop and change in midfield, the high line isn't a problem. We have this with Liverpool all the time. The high line is not a problem if you're pressing the ball in the right areas properly. That's when a high line works. The problem comes, the high line is always exposed if the press is wrong, or if you're pressing in bad areas. The high line will guaranteed get exposed, and that's half the problem for Newcastle has been the chopping and changing in midfield and different presses for different players.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a fantastic, an interesting game. I think there's the potential to be a really good one, and the atmosphere should be incredible.
I think the neutrals will enjoy it. I'm not sure I will be in the Gallagher. I'll be a little bit like nail biting and hoping that Rashford pulls a hammy 20 minutes in. Not a serious one, but something like that, because he does worry me. He always seems to have a good game against us as well. We seem to be his team.
6 and 7.
I know, and I really don't want to see that. Like you said,
oh my days, I hate that so much. It's not even
I'm hoping Isaac goes and does that instead.
Well, the Premier League is back tomorrow, 12:30 lunchtime, with Manchester City versus Liverpool, and this is the 4th time that we've played them this season, and it's 2 wins to Liverpool, 1 to Man City. Beat them in the Charity Shield, beat them at Anfield. Lost 3-2 at the Etihad in the Carabao Cup, and this is going to be the 4th one. One question, and I'll ask this to everyone in the chat as well, and to Luke. The last time a Liverpool player scored against the same side 4 or more times in a season was who?
In a season?
In a season.
Oh, I know. I think I know.
I think I know as well. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
I'll be impressed. I will be impressed.
Oh, well, maybe not if it's not obvious. Can I say?
Yeah, Luke looks like he's scratching his...
I'm going to say Suarez, Norwich.
Nope.
Really? 4 times in a season.
4 times in a season. It's 4 separate games.
Oh, sorry. I thought you are right.
Yeah, no, 4 separate games. Oh, Suarez loved Norwich.
I was going to say, didn't he get
never his buddy.
6 or 7?
I might be completely off, but I thought it might be Robbie Fowler.
Michael Owen?
Good guess. You got to go back a bit further. It was Ian Rush in 86, 87, scored 5 times. 5 times
it's a bit rough,
against. He scored 5 times in a season against Everton.
Against them as well.
Against Everton.
That's what I like.
The last one came in the Cup final.
13 years before I was born. Can't know that, can you?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, his new foot birthday icon is nice.
Is it good? Okay.
It is nice. Trust me. But tomorrow, Luke, Man City away. Haaland will probably do his Lazarus trick and rock up.
I'm not buying that.
But no Foden. No Foden for them. I doubt Diaz will be available. I'm almost certain Diaz won't be available.
I think he'll make the bench if he's any type of available. He'll be.
No, he hasn't played. He hasn't taken part in full training. He's been involved in parts of team training, but he hasn't been involved in full training yet. Won't be until next week. But he's been a huge miss. He's been out since October, since the Arsenal game, and he's been an absolute massive miss for us. But how are you feeling going into it, given the break that we've had? We've all needed the break, us more than anyone. There's no disgrace in going out of the Champions League to Real Madrid, but the performance and the result against Bournemouth was just not acceptable on any level.
Oh no!
Given the fact that we were on a good run going into that Bournemouth game, and we've got a pretty full squad going into the last 11 games of the season. We know how we hate 12:30 kickoffs, but do you worry? I don't worry about these games. I do not worry about the Man Cities, the Manchester Uniteds, the Newcastle games. For me, it's the Nottingham Forest, it's the Leeds, it's the Bournemouths. It's those type of games that put the heebie-jeebies up me. How are you with it? I mean, because I'm not worried about going
if this was a late kickoff, I wouldn't be as worried. But considering this is a 12:30 kickoff, and Liverpool's record at 12:30 this season is being
12:30
short of abysmal. Don't think we've won a 12:30 kickoff this season whatsoever. And to be honest, it's like this is crunch time for me. Like if some of these players that haven't performed all season, if they want to stick around next season, then this is when we need to see the consistency, because I think Liverpool have been so up and down. And I think the most furious thing for me this season, we put a performance in against United at home, put a performance against City at home, and then you get the other awful performances. And I'm like, is it only because you can get up for the big games? Because that's the most frustrating thing for me. If you can only get up for the big games and half-ass it for the smaller games, that frustrates me more than anything. If we were going to be shit, just be shit all season. Don't give us hope thinking that we've turned the corner just for you to go, nope. No.
Well, Kev Ball makes a point in the comments there. It would be a miracle to get a draw. We haven't beaten these in the league since 2015 at the Etihad. Yeah. Our results at the Etihad, I think, was 1 win in 13. It's pretty horrendous, but that's in that time we don't lose many there either. So these tend to be good games, entertaining games to watch. Usually for neutrals, these are cracking games. But Ewan, tomorrow 12:30. Man City can't afford any mistakes from here on out, given the head start that Arsenal have on them. But do you think that if anything happens and Liverpool turn them over, do you think Pep's focus will exclusively go to Champions League?
I think it has to, really, doesn't it? Because Arsenal, I'm surprised. I didn't think they'd be in the position they're in. And I think it almost seems like Pep's resigned him. He's trying mind games, but I also think he's almost resigned himself to saying, "Do you know what? It's gone." I'm not convinced on City this season. I said to my mate, who's a Man United fan, before. Can you remember when you had that run where you were playing Liverpool? I think it was Arsenal and City within the space of a few weeks, Kev. And I said, quite honestly, because he was adamant, we'll beat Arsenal, but we'll lose to City. And I said, honestly, I think you'll beat City. I think they're a little bit more fragile than they have been. If they don't supply the bullets for Haaland, they're a little bit toothless. Not to say they're a bad side or anything, but Liverpool could really punish them. Especially, is Diaz ready to play?
He's been out since October. He won't be risked. I mean,
not even in the squad. No,
it was a bad injury. No, it was a bad injury, and he had a recurrence in December that set him back this bit further. So
I'm shocked to even going to consider playing for the rest of the season. If it was that much
confused, are we talking about Luis Diaz or
Yes, Luis Diaz.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because I'm looking at the pace that Liverpool have got, and I remember what you did to us, and I think if you can if you can like suck City in and let them have the ball and do what you do best and
I
get
don't think
Salah
they're sucking
running
them.
that way.
I don't think you lull City in like that. City will have the ball. It's just like the But I get you.
Do you know what I mean? It's almost like say, well, have the ball and I don't know what your midfield three will be. I mean, I know you've got more players back, but what do you think your midfield three will be?
I'll give you my 11 now. I think it'll be Allison and goal. It will be Trent, Ibu, Virgil, Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson, Elliott, with Salah, Gakpo, and Darwin on the left.
Right.
And
I think you're going to have to try and utilise that pace up front because Gakpo's quick. Haven't seen him live. He's quick, very quick. And Nunes is frightening.
I didn't think Cody Gakpo was as quick as he was until I seen him turn. I can't remember what game it was, but he turned someone in the middle of the pitch, and 3 strides and he was away. He's
powerful.
And he's big.
Yeah, I was going to say he's rangy.
And he's technically a really good footballer as well. Plus the fact he didn't play that much for Holland because of a dodgy curry. It's it was. I think he'll come back fresh. Darwin has only taken part in 1 training session because whatever this cut he got in his foot against Real Madrid, it must have been a serious one because it kept him out of training. Whatever, but I mean, look, people will make their minds up on Erling Haaland. Was he injured? Wasn't he injured? Depending on the team sheets tomorrow. But Darwin had the same accusation thrown at him that he just pulled out for the Uruguay squad. He's got a cut. It's nothing, but he hasn't trained either. So I think they'll risk him, but they won't risk. Luis Diaz. No chance on earth. But
I do think you've got. I think you've got a good chance. I think it's one of those where you turn up to the Etihad, you catch them cold a little bit because it's a midday. As long as you're up for it, and as long as Klopp isn't going to try and go toe to toe, because I don't think you're capable of that this season.
But I don't think. Yeah, even the games that we've played against City, all of the games that we've played against City have been, even the Charity Shield, City have pretty much dominated possession, but we've had probably the better chances in the game. And I mean, Kev, City aren't the City that we're used to seeing over the last 5 years, but at the same time, they're a serious operator. They have to be right up there with one of the favourites for the Champions League this year. But do you think the league is maybe beyond them this season?
No, I don't think it is, because I think I saw saying, I think apparently Alex Ferguson used to say it, that like the league don't really start till Easter. So we'll see how it starts to kick on in these last 10 for Arsenal when the pressure builds and every game's a cup final, and City have been there plenty of times. So we'll see. Obviously, I've said it on air numerous times. I don't think City are actually that good, and I think the whole way they play is built around Haaland. And if you can stop one or two of those facilitators to Haaland, they're pretty toothless. I think if you can get Bernardo Silva off the ball, and if you can kind of keep Jack Grealish like reasonably quiet, because De Bruyne's kind of been on and off as well. Like even with starting, I think he's been rested quite a few times recently. So I think it's one of them that I think you've got about as good a chance as you'll have against City to win it. Because I just don't particularly think they're that incredible, and I don't think they're that scary. I think it's just a matter of just get the ball the hell away from Haaland, really.
Well, Haaland is a freak. 42 goals in all competitions this season. Now, Mo Salah's best season for Liverpool, and it was a phenomenal season, right? It was 44 in all competitions. Yeah. I mean, he's
going to waddle past that.
He is. As long as he turns up to work, he's gonna hit 50 plus. Yeah. These kind of numbers have never been seen in the Premier League era. Anyway, I mean, you're talking going back to the days of Paul Walsh scoring 49, or Paul Walsh or Tony Cottee. One of those two scored 49 in a season or something.
I think Dixie for Everton back in the day was hitting those type of numbers as well.
we have to say that Haaland has, and I'm saying this not in terms of the rest of the world's comparison, but for his comparison, that he has slowed down. Now, like if you take Leipzig and Burnley out of it, because that was like he had like 8 goals in 2 games. Which right, they're freak games. That's fine. But like generally, he hasn't. Like I think he was at 20 plus Prem goals after like 10 or 11 games, and like I thought he was going on for like 40 plus just in the Prem.
Yeah,
and it doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he could still do it. It
no,
doesn't maybe look like that might happen now.
I don't think you're far off the mark, because I think what sides of this one thing with the Premier League, every club up and down the league, their top managers and top coaches up and down the league at virtually every club, they'll have analysed his service to death, and that's what sides have done against City now. Is they've gone into the low block, and whereas when they were playing with a false 9 or with no striker, they were able to work space with the likes of with Sterling and with Gabriel Jesus when he was playing, and Sergio Aguero and David Silva around the box.
Or do they?
Yeah, exactly. They don't have the raw pace that they normally had, and they don't have the cuteness around the box that an early. Because the one thing, and it's one thing Gav has been fairly consistent on, he's been dead right. Erling Haaland is not interested in playing football. Erling Haaland is interested in scoring goals, and as long as you stop the service to him, that's 80% of the battle. You know, as long as he doesn't create anything for himself, or you don't leave him the space in behind. But
he's not the guy to put the halfway line and beat 3, is he? He's the guy to score a tap in at the back post, maybe score a header, and maybe every now and then you play him in behind and he'll run onto a ball. But that's how he's actually, I think he's best suited. But City don't play to his strengths in that way.
Well, some of the guys put the embargoed section comments from Klopp in, and I'll just quickly touch on them. It was literally Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool summer spending. We will definitely spend in the summer. Well, no shit. You got no choice. The club are in a situation we're in because of the mismanagement of the club. The club will spend in the summer, and will Klopp spend 100 million on a player? We'll never speak of this, and he's right. We never do. But we'll definitely spend in the summer, and that's all I can say. I watched his original Luke. I watched the press conference earlier on, and everyone and their uncle knows that Liverpool have money to spend, and they have to spend it in the midfield area. The one comment that he made that was out of character for him was he talked about what he did in the international break and the conversations that he had, the positive conversations that he had with players and with players' representatives. I know that I was talking to someone associated with the pod, but not here. That Klopp was in Dublin watching an Ireland under-15 game during last week to watch one specific player that's playing for Ireland under-15s along the mould of a Ewan Ferguson. So it's not just looking for the star names. He's looking at the whole recruitment of players going forward. But just away from the game a minute, the money that's needed and the investment that's needed and the job that's needed to be done this summer, it can be as big or as radical as the people want. But I honestly don't think. I think you get 3 top players signed, the 3 right players signed, and you're not as far away as what you think.
I think
what I'm saying is I don't think you're going to see 9 players leaving in the summer and 9 players coming in. We don't work that way.
I think we'll see a few players leaving.
We've never worked that way. That's the thing.
If we saw about 8 to 9 leave, but I don't think all those players going are going to be first teamers going. You're going to see some fringe players leaving. But for me personally, the one thing that I really want to see is a little bit of ruthlessness. The players that have never said that they've wanted to go, that are pretty much happy to sit around. I need Klopp to go. Not part of my plans. I know, like we've been through everything together, but now's the time. You need to go. and not players that are on a free contract that he barely plays, that he can just quietly, get out the back door. Players that are still on, either got a year left or a couple of years left for some of them to move on. I think I said to a friend of mine, I said, everyone's got, there's only a few players that should be guaranteed, should be staying no matter what. And then the rest of them, if a good price comes in, maybe it's time to sit down and have a think. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens this summer, because I do think we're probably going to need about 3 midfielders, maybe a centre back, maybe another right back, maybe another forward. I don't know. It depends, really. Depends what offers for players come in.
Can I ask you both a question?
Yeah, shoot.
1, do you think you'll get Bellingham? 2, who are the 3 midfielders you'd like? If you could name check. Because I've seen so many linked. I've seen Nunes from Wolves. I've seen Sukic. I've seen Cornet. I've seen Thuram. I've seen obviously Bellingham.
Yeah,
like who? If you could
for
pick
me,
3,
it's Kefren Thuram.
Yeah, I'd love him.
Jude Bellingham.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't go near Mason Mount with a barge pole.
Really?
Yes. We agree on something, Kev, because I don't want to go near him.
I like Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount is a very good player. I don't think he's an 8. I don't think he's got the defensive side of that game.
When I saw him live this season, he was the busiest player on the pitch. I will say he's not a great defender, so he kind of fits Klopp in his ethic, work rate, high intensity. But I'm not sure. I think you're right in that.
This is the cat look that Mason Mount. Look at the cat's look.
Yeah, he's not. If I was going to go for a third one, and he was English, I would do all kinds of things to get Jacob Ramsey out of Villa.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, but I'm not. I think Bellingham has 3 options. I don't think, and I've said this for a long time.
I think he's only got 2.
I think Bellingham has 3 options, 3 legitimate options, and none of them will be. I don't think he'll ever move. I don't think he'll move for money.
I agree.
I think wherever he goes, he'll never put his hand in his pocket and feel his leg for the rest of his day. He's not. He's got to be a wealthy man from football. He'll move for football reasons, and it will be Man City if he wants to work with. If Pep is looking to replace Bernardo Silva, then he's ideal. Real Madrid, if Real Madrid want to go big on a Galactico and want to tap into the English market again, there is no one better. He fits them like a glove. Yeah. And Liverpool is his options. I think Manchester United would be an interesting one, but I don't know if Manchester United have the room financially to be able to do a Bellingham and a Harry Kane in the same window without shipping out.
Do you not think it could be Osimhen instead of Kane, by the way? And also, isn't Bellingham a Liverpool fan, so I can't see the Man United thing.
Look, so is Gavardio, but I don't take any notice of that.
Yeah, because even like Bellingham came out the other day and said Wayne Rooney was his idol when he played for Man Utd. So it's like it doesn't.
I get that.
Gerrard as well. So
no one plays in the top six anymore. Do you know what I mean? Carragher was an Everton fan growing up.
Dan Burn, lads,
He got there eventually, but like,
it took a while. Let's be honest.
I agree.
I agree. As a Man U fan, I don't want Bellingham, not because I don't think he's great. I just don't think he suits the role that we want anyway as a midfielder.
He'll be after Frankie De Jong all summer again.
I would genuinely rather sit there and bang on Frankie De Jong's door than try and go for Jude Bellingham.
What about Rice for both of you? Both of you is Rice.
I don't want Rice because I just think I love him. I think he's great. I think he's great. I just don't.
It's the same with
Casemiro. We don't need him. I think he far more suits Liverpool than he does us.
I wouldn't have. I think if Stefan Bajcetic didn't emerge, you could have an argument about Declan, because I think Stefan long term is worth sticking with. I wouldn't be bringing in doorsteps or people to stand in his way of developing. I don't think the club will ship out Fabinho. I think one bad season is not the end of the world. It all depends on what they're seeing. Caoimhín Kelleher will ask to leave 100%. Joel Matip would be the other one for me that I would let go. Thiago also, if we got an offer for Thiago, I'd let Thiago go.
What about Palhinha? That's a great shout at the bottom there. I've seen him.
Palhinha
he's been brilliant.
28, 60 million.
I know,
but
the thing is with Palhinha, this Palhinha proves that there's value in the market if you're brave.
Absolutely.
Because
Bruno.
People say that though, but like Palhinha, he was banging down doors. Like he was.
Yeah.
He's been.
How did he slip away?
Man United were close to him, weren't they? Yeah, Man United were close.
Obviously,
Linda's missed him, and he loves the Portuguese market. He missed him.
I was screaming at Man U to buy him. Like he was banging down doors to get picked up.
As much as we're going to do transfer shows, and I would actually love to get you guys on to do a transfer show later in the season. When we've got nothing to play for, which could be after this weekend. I'll go with Ewan. Score prediction for Manchester City versus Liverpool, please.
2-2.
2-2. Kev?
It's at the Etihad, isn't it?
It's at the Etihad, yeah.
All right, then 2-1 City.
2-1 City. And Luke?
2-2.
2-2 Desmond. 1-1 for me. I think our next 3 games is Man City, we have Chelsea Tuesday night, and we have Arsenal at the weekend. I think if we don't take 7 points out of 9, I think we're done.
About top 4.
Yeah, I think top 4 is done if we don't get 7 from 9. I think we're really up against it to get there now. Anyway, the Bournemouth result was a real issue, But if we get you have to get 7 from 9. Chelsea, you don't know what you're going to get. Going away to London could be anything. Arsenal at Anfield, I'm not worried about them one bit.
Potentially at Anfield.
Yeah, I couldn't care less about
Arsenal. He's out for the season. He's out for the season.
Dear.
A massive week.
Just a quick one, Kev. I've just had a Liverpool friend text me who's watching, and he said he would 100% take Ramsey over Mount as well. So clearly, you're not the only one in that camp.
I would.
And the thing is, I like Mason Mount.
Not for £70 million is what I've seen the price.
It wouldn't be that. He'd run his contract down.
He's in the last year of his contract, and Mason Mount, if he wants to leave Chelsea, he'll just make it known to Chelsea, I want to go to X club and come up with a deal, or I'll walk away for free. Chelsea need to get money in. He's a £40 million player. No more. Absolutely no more than that. And if we got him in, I'm sure he would fit into the squad somehow. But if you're going to evolve the side to playing 4-3-3 with one attacking midfielder, I'd rather Harvey Elliott develop as he gets older into being what a Mason Mount could be and better, rather than bring in someone like Mason Mount for ridiculous money, for 40 million quid. Plus, he's going to be asking for 180 grand a week. Stifle the growth of the other players that are within the squad, especially when I don't think he'd start in a best 11 at the start of next season anyway. I just don't see it. But if you're going to play 4-2-3-1, then does he move Salah out of the right-hand side? No, he doesn't.
He wouldn't.
So what's the point?
I think they might have been saying it was 70 mil for Ramsey anyway.
I think Ramsey would be that. But
yeah, wow.
Yeah, I think Ramsey has potential to be an absolute superstar.
I think he could be, but I don't think Villa can demand that for him, surely.
I think they can, because they can look at what Calvin Phillips went to Man City for and say, look, different positions, a holding midfielder as opposed to a box-to-box or an attacking midfielder with goals, who's younger and has probably a higher ceiling. I think they can, and he's just signed a long contract with Villa.
As I was going to say, what's his contract situation?
Yeah, it's a pretty long one. I think
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nuts. Oh, the reason why I asked that question at the start about Ian Rush, Salah is going for that. Salah scored 3-3 against City this season. So if he scores against City tomorrow, it'll be 4 against one club, and it'll match Ian Rush. Well, nearly, because Rush did it 5 times, and that was just cheating. But that's about it, lads. Just wanted to quickly mention 2 things. The charity that we're running is for breast cancer awareness. So we're helping to try to raise funds for 20 grand. We're looking for sponsorship for our golf day. The golf day, we're hoping to raise about €4,000 with that. So we're looking for people to sponsor a hole, sponsor nearest the pin. If anyone can help with that, the email address is lfcdaytrippers@gmail.com. And Gavel, if you want to donate a prize for a raffle, by all means, get in touch through that email and people will be able to get back to you and sort that out. There's also a link in the description and all of our social medias. If you can share it, if you could donate, please do, by all means. But if you can share it and get the word out, it'd be great. The other one was the one, I don't know if you guys have seen it, the one for Leanne. It was going around social media all day yesterday. When we looked yesterday, it was on, she was up to 130,000. If people don't know the story of Leanne got sepsis. She's 12 years old. She got sepsis and pneumonia at the turn of the year, late last year, sorry. And she ended up having to have both hands and both feet amputated because of it. And her parents are just like distraught, devastated, but they also have to come up with the money to revamp their house and to do just basically everything that your worst nightmare has come true as a parent. And there you are landed with bills left, right, and center to try to adapt your house, try to sort prosthetics out, and then all the other stuff that goes with it. But I checked before we came on, and she's up to 153,000. So if anyone is interested in donating, then please have a look at our LFC Daytrippers Twitter feed. Scroll down through that, and the link is in there for the GoFundMe. If you can donate to Sophie, then please do, and share that one around as well. It'd be great. And that is it. Hour and 20 minutes. Huge weekend of football to come. I think there's boxing on tomorrow night as well, Luke. Yeah, there's
AJ versus Jermaine Franklin.
Any UFC coming up this weekend, mate?
No, it's a week off, so it's a nice little recharge before UFC 287 next week. It'll be Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira to see if Israel Adesanya can get one back, because I think Pereira over kickboxing and MMA is like 3-0 up on Izzy, so be interested to see what happens.
That'd
but
be massive.
Yeah, me and Callum will be doing the watch along on the Sanderson show, so make sure that you hit the subscribe button over there, because he's getting ever closer to 1,000 subscribers. I think he's only like 20 subs away. So if you love MMA content, then make sure to subscribe to that channel as well.
Yeah, it'd be great. Ewan, what are you up to at the minute? You busy, or are you back in it?
Well,
yourself and Jack doing it at the minute.
Yeah, well, Jack's. We've both been working. We're both teachers, so it can be difficult during term time trying to find time on a night. But we've both got 2 weeks off, so we haven't really got any excuses, have we? So hopefully we'll be back on. There's a lot of football over April, so hopefully we'd like to get some predictions, shows, and a little bit of debate going on. So yeah. Talking Ballacks.
Love the name. Best one going. Kev, what are you up to at the minute, and how can people get hold of you?
If you want to get hold of me, just @clutch_FIFA. I think for me at the moment, it's just been just launching the new company, within FIFA, obviously, like the week league stuff. So just been super busy. But yeah, if anyone's interested or wants to watch any of the content, stuff like that, it's @clutch_FIFA. If you like FIFA and football.
Yeah, because in fairness, once you get into the chat and you forget about the games and stuff, just interact with the chat. You'll end up chatting about the game, but you'll end up chatting about football as well. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant content. It really is.
I'll talk for hours about anything.
Right. On that note, listen, thanks to everyone in the chat for all of your input. It's been brilliant as usual. And we'll see you guys next time. Tomorrow there will be a post-match full-time Reds, and Fatback 4 will be on Sunday. And we get to go again next week. All the very best to everyone. Cheers. Good night. Slán.
See you.